There's something nobody warns you about as a business owner. The more experienced you become, the harder it is to explain how you think. You know what good looks like. You know when something's off. You just can't explain why. I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this is Small Business Big AI, the podcast for operators who are done reacting to technology and ready to build a technology-enabled superpower.
This is part 2 of a 3-part series, The Leadership Nobody Trained You For.
Now, last week, we talked about why AI feels harder than it should. And today, we're naming the skill that actually fixes it.
And here's the twist. It's not what the market is selling you.
Now, you've had this moment before. A new hire, good resume, seems sharp in the interview. And then their first project lands on your desk, and it's not quite what you asked for. Now, it's not wrong exactly. It's just off. It's missing the point. And in that moment, you have a choice. Now, do I chalk this up as a bad hire? Or do I ask a harder question? Then you ask yourself, did I actually set this person up to succeed?
And that's the fork in the road right there. And most people take the easy path. Blame the hire.
Or how in this case, they blame the AI. They blame the tool.
Same pattern, different employee.
Exactly. Okay, Hal, so let's pick up where we left off.
Last week, we established something important. AI isn't software, it's delegated intelligence. And delegated intelligence requires management, not just a prompt.
But if you look around the market right now, Hal, everyone is selling prompting. Courses, templates, certifications.
For only $4.97, you too can unlock the secrets.
Right? And look, some of those resources are genuinely helpful. I'll give it that.
To be fair, that's what everyone's asking for. Just tell me what to type.
Right, but they're solving the wrong problem.
But hold on. Let's look at it from the other side.
You're saying there's another side?
Well, yes. Because isn't prompting the skill? That's what everybody is saying. Learn to prompt better, get better results. That's the whole pitch.
It's the pitch.
I hear a but.
Yes, but here's the problem. Now, don't quote me wrong because I completely agree that prompting is necessary. You do need to know how to communicate clearly. But here's the issue. Prompting is like writing a better email to your team. Helpful? Well, yes. Transformational? No.
So what turns this into transformational?
And delegation. Real delegation. The kind you learn the hard way over years with human teams. And that's the part nobody's selling because it's harder to package.
So what you're saying is people are buying surface level fixes for a deeper leadership gap. A skill experienced operators already have.
Right. It's not new.
They just don't recognize it applies here.
Exactly. And that's what I've been saying. And that's both the good news and the frustrating part.
How so?
Well, you've already paid tuition on this skill. So you learned it managing people. You learned it managing vendors and contractors. You know what happens when you delegate without clarity because you've actually lived those consequences.
The project comes back sideways.
Right.
And you spend more time fixing it than if you've done it yourself.
Right again. And then you have to have that awkward conversation.
This isn't what I asked for.
When really the question is, did you actually ask for what you wanted.
Or did you assume they'll figure it out?
And AI does not figure it out. Now, that's the difference. A human might ask clarifying questions. They might pick up on context over time, but AI just guesses confidently.
Which is almost worse.
Absolutely, because a confident wrong answer is dangerous because it looks competent. Quick note before we go deeper. If this way of thinking about AI through leadership and not hacks resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed.
Because this series builds, each episode stacks on the last.
And we are just getting started. All right, so let's get specific. Now, when delegation fails with a human employee, most of us already know how that goes. We know the signs. We don't jump straight to they're incompetent. We do a quick mental postmortem.
What did I assume they knew? What context did I skip? What did I forget to say out loud?
Exactly. So we can go straight down that checklist, Hal. Unclear expectations, missing context, no feedback loop, no definition of what good actually looks like. And the big one?
Success criteria that lived in my head only. The classic, I thought you knew what I meant.
Exactly. And over time, most operators learn this the hard way. Now, we build onboarding. We write the SOPs. We add check-ins. And it's not because we love processes, but because that pain has taught us.
Okay, but when delegation fails with AI, nobody runs a checklist. We blame technology. This tool doesn't work. AI is overhyped. I must be doing something wrong.
But here's what I want you to see. The failure mode is identical. The only difference is AI doesn't push back. It won't raise its hand and say, hey, I'm confused. It'll just execute based on whatever gaps you left.
Which means the cost of unclear delegation is immediate. With a person, you might get a question back. With AI, you get a confident deliverable that missed the point entirely.
And then you spend an hour fixing it, or maybe you start over. And this is the expensive one. You decide AI doesn't work and you abandon it altogether.
When really, the system worked fine. The instructions didn't.
Right. So let me break down what effective delegation actually requires. So whether you're handing something to a human or you're handing it to an AI. So we have three components, and first is context. Now, that means what does the other party need to know about your business, your customer, your standards, your voice? What's the background they don't have? And then second is criteria. What does good look like? And just as important, what would make you reject this? So define bad before you see the output. And finally, the third is checkpoints. How will you review, refine, and redirect? What's the feedback loop?
Okay, but that sounds like more work, not less. Isn't AI supposed to save time? That's the whole value proposition.
But it does save time once the system is built, but you don't get to skip the setup.
Just like you can't skip onboarding a new hire and expect them to read your mind.
Exactly. So the upfront investment is what makes the ongoing efficiency possible. And this is where a lot of business owners get stuck. They want the output without the architecture.
Because the marketing promised plug and play.
And plug and play does not exist. I mean, at least not for anything that actually matters to your business. So let me ground this in something real. I mean, something that every operator I know has lived through at least once. Now, you hire someone to, say, redesign your website. It could be a designer, it could be an agency. You do your research and they have a good portfolio, they have solid references. So you go to them and you explain what you need. You say, we need to convert more visitors into leads.
Sounds clear enough.
And that's what I thought too, Hal. But then 3 weeks later, they send you mock ups. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's modern, it's clean, it's fast. Everything works perfectly,
But
but it's not converting. The contract form is buried 3 clicks deep. The value proposition is vague. And the call to action says, learn more instead of something that actually creates urgency.
so technically perfect.
Yeah, but strategically useless.
And when you push back,
Well, when you push back, the designer says, but you said you wanted it modern and clean,
which you did.
which I did. But what I meant was modern and clean in a way that drives business results.
Two completely different definitions of done.
Exactly. So the designer's definition of success was, does it look good and function as designed? And my definition of success was, does it produce business outcomes?
Those aren't the same thing.
They're not even close, Hal. And the most dangerous part, neither side realized we were working from different scorecards until the deliverable landed.
That's the translation layer problem you talked about in episode 74 last week.
Exactly. So, like we said, builders think in features and operators think in outcomes. And when there's no translation layer or no bridge between those two worldviews, well, then stuff breaks.
And you're left paying for something that doesn't actually solve your problem.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Go on.
You cannot wait for someone else to build that bridge. So, as the operator, you don't get to outsource that translation.
Because no one else has your context.
No one else knows what success actually looks like in your business. What would make you approve something? What would make you reject it? What would make you uncomfortable but not quite sure why? That judgment lives with the operator.
And AI sits on the builder side by default.
Yes, as always, AI is incredibly good at executing instructions, but it is terrible at inferring intent, which means if you don't build the translation layer, AI will still deliver something. It just won't be what you meant.
So the skill isn't learning a tool.
No, the skill is learning how to articulate your own standards clearly enough that anything, whether human or AI, can act on them. Now, that's delegation. And AI turns out to be the most demanding delegation partner you will ever have.
Because it takes everything literally.
Exactly. It doesn't read the room. It doesn't catch your drift. It doesn't know what you'd never approve. It only knows what you actually said.
So basically, AI is the employee who takes everything literally.
The most literal employee you've ever had. And really, that's actually a gift if you let it teach you something about your own clarity. So here's why nobody taught you this, because until now, you didn't need it at this level. So with human employees, there's a natural feedback loop. They ask questions. They pick up context over time. They observe how you work, and they learn your preferences through proximity.
The water cooler effect.
Exactly. So all that ambient learning that happens just by being in the same space or at least the same Slack channel. But, AI does not have that. So every conversation starts from zero. It has no memory of what worked last time unless you build that in. So it has no sense of your tastes, your standards, your red lines unless you define them explicitly.
But what about these tools with memory now? Custom GPTs, projects like Claude, all that. Isn't that supposed to solve this?
It helps, but memory isn't management.
Break that down.
So, memory is like an employee who remembers your name and your coffee order. That's nice, but that's not the same as understanding your business strategy. Now, understanding what you never prove, understanding why you make the decisions you make.
So the tool can remember facts, but judgment is still on you.
Right, judgment is always on you. So the skill is getting your judgment out of your head and into a form that something else can act on. And that brings us to where we're headed in part 3 of this series, Hal.
The operational piece.
Right, because once you have the delegation skill, once you can articulate context, criteria, and checkpoints, then the question becomes, how do you systematize it? How do you stop doing this from scratch every single time and start building something durable?
Going from skill to systems.
Or from tools to teammates. And that's the shift we're building toward. So, I want to share something I've been navigating in real time. Now, building my next business, the insurance agency, has been a master class in this skill. Not because the AI is hard, but because I'm constantly bumping into the gap between what I know and what I've made explicit.
Give us an example.
Okay, so last week I was working on client communication templates and I kept getting output that was fine, technically correct, professional enough, but it really didn't sound like me. It didn't have the voice, the Kim voice.
It was generic?
Exactly. So my first instinct was frustration. Why can't this tool get my voice right? And then I stopped and I asked myself, have I actually documented what my voice sounds like? Have I defined what makes something on brand versus off brand?
And the answer was,
No.
it lived in your head.
And how I knew it when I saw it. I've translated my personal voice, sure, but I hadn't translated this particular one, not my business voice for the insurance agency. I hadn't translated that into something teachable yet. So what I did was I sat down and I wrote it out. The words I use, the words I don't use, the rhythm of my sentences, and examples of what good looks like. Also examples of what bad looks like.
How long did that take?
Well, maybe about 30 minutes. And here's the thing, that document isn't just for AI. Now I actually have something I can hand to a copywriter or a VA, anyone who needs to write in my business voice.
The delegation skill forced you to build an asset.
That's exactly right. It forced me to build an asset.
So the friction of AI surfaced something you should have documented anyway.
Oh, true. And that's the lesson. So when AI output misses the mark, the question isn't what's wrong with the tool. The question is, what decision did I leave in my head?
Because your head isn't part of the system.
My head isn't part of the system. And this skill, getting your standards out of your head and into something external, that's what separates businesses that scale from businesses that stay stuck at founder capacity.
Which means this is more than just about AI. It's survival. growth. It's about scaling you. And AI just made it urgent.
AI made it visible how the urgency was always there. And most of us just didn't see it until we had a delegation partner demanding that level of clarity. So here's your small step for this week. And this one is really simple. I want you to pick one task you regularly delegate. Now, it could be to a human, it could be to AI, but pick something you hand off and it comes back not quite right.
We all have that one task.
Right. We all have several, but I want you to pick just one. Now, before you hand it off again, I want you to document 3 things. So, 1, what context does the other party need that currently lives only in your head? Like background about your business or your customer, the situation.
2, what would make you reject this output? Don't just define good, define bad. What are the red lines?
And 3, what does done actually look like? Not done enough, but actually done.
Write it down, not in your head, on paper, in a document. 10 minutes max.
And this isn't an AI exercise. This is a leadership exercise. And if you do it once, you'll start seeing everywhere that you've been delegating without direction.
And in part 3 of this series, we're going to show you how to take the skill and build it into an operating system so you're not starting from scratch every time.
So we're going from skill to system, from tools to teammates. That's where we're headed next week. Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, if this episode helped you see the skill that's actually missing, if delegation landed differently for you today, well then hit that subscribe button and stay with us.
And in part 3, we're going to show you how to turn your skills into a system. From tools to teammates, the operating shifts that changes everything.
And if you want to go deeper on strategic communication with AI, we've developed something called the Impact Framework.
It's how we teach business owners to stop wrestling with AI and start leading it.
So reach out if you want to learn more.
Or better yet, DM us. The link is in the show notes.
And until next time, keep embracing change, keep innovating,
Keep building your technology-enabled superpower.
and this has been Small Business Big AI. We'll catch you in the next episode.